Gold chains, heads wrapped like a Saudi. Tap in with the lokes, we the black Illuminati. We be posted at Lamert Park, hustling, catching bodies. A dripping OT, thirsty peaches flew to Saudi. Money schemes, my niggas had dreams of riding Bugattis. Now it's 4-finger rings, supreme with kings around me. R.I.P. nigga Nip. Peace to the divine family. It's the blue God, the true God, Crip Jesus, author of the Blue Bible. It's not the new Bible. It's the true Bible. It's all the mysteries and all the histories revealed, all the bloodlines. And I'm here to show and prove today. I'm not playing no games. And, you know, we got the divine family up in here. PDQ Tactical, peace to you. Let's get it. So, everybody that already put their order in for the Black Indian Wars, you in luck.
Peace to the divine family is finally here. The Black Indian Wars. Tap in for your copy. And I got more of the blue Bibles just in. Oh man, this is so great. Classic material. Tap in ASAP. The Black Indian Wars.
And if you haven't tapped in yet, you don't know what you're missing, man. Let me put you up on it.
The easiest way to disconnect you from the land. I don't even got to come in your house and put a finger on you. All I got to do is convince you that you're not from here. I don't got to whoop you.
Don't own nothing.
I don't got to pay for no guns. I don't even got to kill you and lose a resource. I can use you as a resource if I could just convince you you don't even belong here. You lucky you here because of me. And let me tell you what that's doing to us. It's making it to the point where we don't even want to grow our own food. We don't want to build our own homes. We just want to sit around and say, why they ain't giving us this? Why they ain't giving us that?
You heard it. It's going down. You go to the number right there. You can tap in 213-667-1094. Come and join the Black Illuminati. We got it. And we got merch on deck. Because, you know, you got to have your conversation starters. You know, you put that right on. Everybody can see you like, oh, what's that? The Black Illuminati. They start asking them questions when you hit them. Booyah! The blue Bible, the true Bible. That part.
Reporting live from Abu Dhabi, Black Illuminati. Make sure you go get your shirts.
Shit.
Now let's meditate and separate from the RH negative, slow, repetitive.
I told y'all all colors and styles. All colors and styles. So like I said, man, look at this. Look at all these books, man. Can y'all see all this? Man, we got so many, bro. So I'm really supposed to be at the post office right now getting busy, but, you know, I couldn't not do the live. So, you know, let's get it started.
When did you become Crip Jesus?
Oh, you know what I'm saying? I got that name officially in 2020 when I became the leader of the Black Illuminati.
You got Mr. Crip Jesus. You got Mr. Crip Jesus in the building with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, they don't got nothing don't coming to them. You born in debt. They call it money. They gave me the name. You feel what I'm saying? They like my Crippin', but they really like my Jesus-in.
Peace. Is this Crip Jesus?
This is the family.
Oh, what's up?
I'm a nigga. I'm from the tribe of Nagas in East Africa. You laughing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So like I said, we're here today to really delve into the new book, The Black Indian Wars. You know, and let's really take some time to really let that set in. I'm the author of 2 books now. It's official.
The word Indian means, you know, the indigenous people. You know, and all indigenous people are black. And since they thought they could erase our history, I know the only history you can't erase is wars, you know. Anytime a war takes place, it's going to be documented, it's going to be descriptions. So, you know, I'm just here to show and prove the real.
I'm just here to show and prove the real. You feel what I'm saying? So, right here in the Black Indian Wars, I love doing that. It's another one of my books. You can tap right in on page 3. Page 3 of the Black Indian Wars tells you that. Oh, let me get a little music right here. Hold on. Oh, yeah, and we're still doing the $13 unreleased music package. You feel what I'm saying? But let me get a little music right here. Break this down for you. It says in the Black Indian Wars, the bloodlines of North America are older than the nations of Africa, formed at the Berlin Conference in 1884 through 85. The ideal that all melanated people are Africans who belong to Africa can be traced back to Robert Finley in the American Colonization Society. It was taught to justify their campaign exporting free-born people of North America to their colonies being created in Africa, like Liberia. The indigenous so-called Indian of every continent is melanated or black in phenotype. Names such as Aurignacian, Minoan, Phoenician, Etruscan, Celtic, etc. represent the original people of Europe, which is not a continent. It is a peninsula originally governed by Africans. Shout out to Rhythm Rug, peace to the God. Let's get it. I got my new book now, The Black Indian Wars. Tap in with me, man. I know your folks will love that. I'm doing package deals and all that, man. Tap in with me. So, at the Battle of Alarcos, over 300,000 so-called white Christians challenged the Moorish ruler Yaqub al-Mansur. To their surprise, they were defeated, chained in groups of 50, and shipped to Africa where they were sold. This was 300 years before the now infamous Atlantic slave trade. 300 years before. Okay? 300 years before. You see what I'm saying? But they'll have you thinking the Atlantic slave trade and they came and they took everybody. No, they're telling you everything in reverse. Why? Because they want to reverse reality. They want God's children to act and sing and dance and dress like the devil's children, while they pose like they were God's children. See what I'm saying? And push that devilishment upon us. The people labeled white Caucasian by the United States were sold and traded in Africa as slaves. The word slave was derived from their ethnicity, Slav. White slavery did not end until the conclusion of the Barbary Wars on July 3rd, 1815. Yes, that is the Independence Day for the so-called white nation. And when I say white, I don't mean Italian. I don't mean Arab. I don't mean French. I'm not racist. I'm talking about white. The people who just push white, who have no allegiance to no nation, nothing except white. They usually will call themselves Americans, but when you get to talking to them about how they feel about other Americans, when you watch how they act about other Americans, they don't feel anyway. They act and feel white. They even have people with them who are not quote unquote white, but they will push that agenda and they will use that title. They are descendants of enslaved people, hell bent on enslaving the rest of us. It's a fact. It's a truth. So what happened on July 3rd, 1815? What was the wars being ended? So let's run that back. What did I say? I said in the new book, The Black Indian Wars, if you already put in your pre-order, tap in with me. Make sure I get yours to you. I got everybody's address and name written down, but still tap in with me and make sure I get yours to you, okay? It says the people labeled white Caucasian by the United States were sold and traded in Africa as slaves. The word slave was derived from their ethnicity, Slav. White slavery did not end until the conclusion of the Barbary Wars on July 3rd, 1815. So let's see what happened to conclude white slavery.
War, fought in 1815, was a conflict between the United States and the North African states of Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli, driven by the need to protect American merchant vessels and citizens from piracy in the Mediterranean. The war demonstrated the growing naval prowess of the United States and marked an important chapter in its foreign relations. This article explores the causes, key events, and consequences of the Second Barbary War. Background: the Barbary states and piracy. During the early 19th century, the Barbary states, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli, enjoyed a dominant position in the Mediterranean as they engaged in piracy and demanded tribute from European and American ships passing through their waters. These acts of piracy, which included capturing ships and enslaving crew members, posed a significant threat to American commerce and national interests. American response and causal factors. In response to continued acts of piracy against American ships, the United States sought diplomatic solutions with the Barbary states to secure the safety of its vessels. However, negotiations proved ineffective, leading the U.S. to resort to military force. Causal factors for the war included the desire to protect American maritime trade, assert American power in the Mediterranean, and defend the principles of free navigation. Declaration of war and naval engagements. The conflict began with the United States declaring war on the Barbary states. The U.S. Navy, led by Commodore Stephen Decatur, conducted a series of successful naval engagements against the Barbary pirates. In particular, the American forces achieved notable victories in battles against Algiers and Tripoli, crippling their naval capabilities and reducing their piracy activities. Capture of Derna and conclusion of the war. One of the pivotal moments of the war was the American capture of the city of Derna in present-day Libya. American forces, aided by local allies, launched a land assault on Derna and successfully seized control, striking a blow against the Barbary states. The capture of Derna led to negotiations, resulting in treaties that secured the release of American prisoners and ended the war. Consequences and impact. The Second Barbary War had significant consequences for the United States and the Barbary states. For the United States, the war showcased its growing naval power and ability to protect its maritime interests. It also solidified American dominance in the Mediterranean and strengthened its reputation among European powers. The defeat of the Barbary states diminished their piracy activities and bolstered the safety of American ships. Legacy and implications. The Second Barbary War represented a significant milestone in American foreign policy.
So we're looking at 3 wars fought here. See, like I said, the reason why I wrote the Black Indian Wars is because they can rewrite the history all they want to, but they can't erase wars, conflicts. Whenever there's a war or conflict, there's witnesses, there's documentation on both sides. And we'll get to the bottom of this. America and the American government had to fight to free the white slaves in 3 wars. Bet they ain't tell you about that. Bet they ain't tell you about the 3 wars that the U.S. government had to fight to free the white slaves that they used to start this country. White slaves from Africa.
It reinforced the principle of freedom of navigation and non-payment of tribute to foreign powers, setting a precedent for future U.S. interactions with nations engaging in piracy. The war also marked a shift in American attitudes toward the Barbary states, with increased diplomatic and military engagement aimed at ensuring regional stability and protecting American interests. Conclusion. The Second Barbary War of 1815 was a crucial chapter in the United States' history of naval expansion and asserting its power in the Mediterranean. By confronting the Barbary states' piracy activities, the United States protected its maritime trade and demonstrated its growing strength as a naval power. The war left...
That's beautiful. Okay. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who showed you the truth? The Blue Bible, chapter 8, History versus Mystery. Let's get it. Page 62, chapter 8 of the Blue Bible. It is written, if history is his story, then mystery is my story. Okay? Repeat that again. If history is his story, then mystery is my story. According to his story, the people of Adam are the people of Moses, right? When you look in the Bible, they got this bloodline going. They got the people of Moses the same as the people of Adam. But according to my story, the people of Adam were the slaves of the people of Moses. Repeat that again. The people of Adam were the slaves of the people of Moses. The people of Moses were not the slaves in Egypt. They were the rulers in Egypt. They were the Musas, the Thutmosas, and Rammusas. They were the rulers of Egypt. They were not the the quote unquote servants, slaves. Why do we want to identify with that? Let's separate the lie from the truth. Okay? Let's separate the truth from the lie. Okay? So the Blue Bible is going to let you know that basically, hold on, man. The people, quote unquote, black people of North America are not descendants of the slaves from Egypt. That's something we got from trying to identify with the Bible so much. Even the character Moses in the Bible inherited the name via adoption, not bloodline. The title Moses was used by the ruler of Egypt's 18th dynasty. They are the Amarna dynasty, referred to as Ali Imran in the Quran. Their ancestor, Lord Amos's name was pronounced Amosis in Greek. He is the patriarchal head of the royal family. Before the Greek people translated his name, Moses was pronounced Musa. Mansa Musa, Thut Musa, like Thut Moses, Ramses is Moses. These are the people of Moses. They're not the people of Adam. The people of Adam are the slaves. The religious community claims to be descendants of Egyptian slaves in the book of Exodus. Right? Let my people go. They're not talking to us. They're not telling us. We're not saying let my people go. We're the rulers of the land. We were the rulers in Egypt. We weren't the slaves. Who taught us to believe that? They taught us to believe that we've been slaves forever. So much to the point that anywhere we hear a story about slaves, we want to think it's about us. But what if I told you we are direct descendants of the rulers of Egypt, not the slaves? I'm talking about direct descendants by blood. Word is bond. And we're here to break it down today.
Black American from Atlanta named Dexter just found out that he is a direct descendant of King Ramses III of Egypt.
You have such an interesting history. Please explain what made you do a DNA test, and then what happened when you found out all of a sudden that you're related to Ramses III?
That's a great question, Emily. Well, about a year and a half ago, I traveled to places like Israel, France, and different places like that. And so what happened was people would always ask the normal question, where are you from? And I would say the States, United States. And the people that I saw in France would say, no, where are you really from? And I said, the States. That's all I know. And so that question stuck with me for a long time. And I just said, where am I actually from? I mean, I know I'm American, but where my DNA is from? And so I said, well, let me take my DNA test. It was a 23andMe DNA test. And I took the test and I was shocked when I saw the results. It came back and it showed that I was actually a direct descendant of the Pharaoh Ramses III. And I knew nothing of the pharaohs. didn't know much about Egypt, but everything you hear about, Bible stories and things like that. So for me, it was a huge shock, and that's how I found out about it.
Wow. So obviously you took it deeper and deeper. You saw all of these synchronicities in looking at images of the fair, how much you and even your brother look like them. And your own company has like an eye logo that looks like the eye of Horus, unconnected to any of this. So
Wow.
what did this open up for you in terms of your own knowledge and learning about this?
Wow. He wasn't even a dude that was sitting around studying Egypt or none of that. This is real, bro. This is not make-believe. This is not for entertainment. This is for educational purposes. So I said the people of Adam are not the people of Moses. These titles go to two different groups. The slaves. The word slave comes from, hold on. It comes from medieval Latin sclava, as in the Slavonic people, captive, to the Old French esclave, to slave, Middle English. Now this goes all the way back. If I'm saying to the time of Moses, right? This is going all the way back to ancient times. So this word became popular. You see it first being used amongst the Romans, who had an empire population of 50 million, who had between 5 and 10 million enslaved. Bro, almost a quarter of their population were slaves. Now that's crazy. And as it says, Slavonic. Now, Esau is where most Hebrew Israelites claim that the people of Adam come from. And I understand it, but I don't agree. Esau in the Hebrew Bible, book of Genesis, a son of Isaac and Rebekah, the elder twin brother of Jacob, and in Hebrew tradition, the ancestor of the Edomites. At birth, Esau was red and hairy, and he became a wandering hunter, while Jacob was a shepherd. Makes sense. Red and hairy, Edomites, it fits. I'm not going to lie. But is it right and exact? Is the people who I exposed in the Blue Bible as the people of Adam, the Adamites, are they really the Edomites? Is Edomite Adamite? I mean, it gets deep. It gets deep. I mean, you got to peep the science of different groups. And let's get down to it.
Saying they are laid desolate. They are given us to consume.
The people of God have been taken into slavery. We can now take the lands. That's what they did. Go ahead.
Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them.
Hear what the Lord said? I have heard them. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord God, when the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate.
God said when the whole earth rejoices, because the Lord going to come back, I'm going to make you desolate. I'm going to destroy you. Go ahead.
As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, in all Idumea.
Wait, who's Idumea? Put it on the screen. Who's Idumea? I know some of y'all forgot already. Read that.
Idumea, Bible meaning red or Edom.
See, that's the Edomites. That's the Edomites God's talking about. Back.
Saying they are laid.
I'm not going to lie. Impressive work. Impressive work. Shout out to Carl Slipknot. Yaqub Al-Mansur. He been in that Blue Bible. He know where I'm going with this. I've been told that those Bible characters never existed. How true is that? They existed. Yes, they existed. But they didn't exist in that way. Does that make sense? Like a lot of these characters are names that represent groups of people. Like Moses, I've just broke down to you, is the name used by the 18th dynasty rulers of Egypt. But they want to make it like he's this slave dude and he's, let my people go and all of that. Esau actually is a name of a sun god, an ancient sun god in New Guinea. The people of Adam do not have original names. So you're right, Catherine, in a way, because all those characters are just that, characters in a story. And their names are make-believe, yes, but they took the names from somewhere. That's where it's not make-believe. So the story has a resemblance of the reality. It's all about remixing the truth. So that way, when you finally do hear the truth, you're like, no, it's not that. It's this. Right? They even stole the name Adam. Atum, ancient Egypt, Adams. So the blue Bible or the Bible? The Bible saying Esau. We just heard the brother break down how they're red and hairy and the Edomites. But the blue Bible says Adam. So let's go to what the blue Bible says. And if you have your copy, it has the index. If not, you need to get your copy. Tap in. We're doing deals, 2 for $50. If you do have a copy, get one for your family. Tap in, let them learn this stuff. So page 32 says, the Asiatic people, that would be us, the original people of the earth, are not of the character named Adam in the Bible. The people of Adam received their names by way of war. This truth is revealed in the Bible, book of Genesis, chapter 32, verse 28. When Jacob fights a war with the people of God and is given the name Israel for winning that war, for winning that conflict. Revelations chapter 2, verse 9, when it says that people who are not of the original tribe of the gods will call themselves so in the ending. All of this is revealed. Hold on. Let's keep going. What else does it say about Adam? Page 37. The people of Adam are of the Caucasus Mountains. It was us, the gods, who gave them their books, instructing them how to live. The land we gave them was Europe. The language we gave them was Latin. And the books we gave them were the books of Moses. Where's this Esau, Edomite story? That's giving them too much credit. They're not with the tribe of Jacob and Israel and from the womb of no, they're not, none of that. Stop trying to find somewhere for everybody in the Bible. Stop trying to force the Bible to be real. Now let's get to the science. There is science in the Bible, but if you don't break it down, you're going to be stuck with the lies. Adamites. The Adamites or the Adamians, whatever you want to call them. They were adherents of an early Christian group in North Africa in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th centuries. They wore no clothing during their religious ceremonies. Are y'all hearing this? They wore no clothing during their religious ceremonies. Okay? These are some, don't this sound like the people we're talking about? The people we're talking about that we see over here polluting our television, our schools, and with all this crazy stuff, they don't sound like the Edomites of Esau. No, also what they're red and hairy. You can't base science and knowledge of bloodline off of just saying, oh, they red and hairy. White people red and hairy, so it's the same. No, it doesn't work like that. Because all white people ain't part of the group. We're talking about the people of Adam, the people who follow those teachings of the created people who got chased out the garden. And they're naked and innocent. They have a whole nation. Okay? What's the next page? Page 50. After writing 6,000 years of our story, the people of Adamites created our past. They wrote slavery into our minds. From there, it traveled through our DNA into our seeds. They made us believe we're slaves. When you go back to right here, you'll see we were never slaves. When they was wearing no clothing during their religious ceremonies, you got reports of similar sex in Central and later Middle Ages. They were getting chased all through Europe for this. But they don't talk about this group in the Bible. They don't talk about the people that came from the Caucasus Mountains in the Bible. They don't break all that down. They leave that out. Now, let's keep going. What's the next page it says for Adam in the Blue Bible? Page 62. We read that. If history is his story, then mystery is my story. According to his story, the people of Adam are the people of Moses. According to my story, the people of Adam were the slaves of the people of Moses. Break it down. So we can see right here that the Vikings often captured and enslaved weaker peoples that they encountered. They took most of the slaves in the raids from the British Isles and the Slavs of Eastern Europe. Slav, slave. This slave trade lasted from the 8th to the 11th century. Slavery itself was abolished in Sweden in 1335. They did this to each other. This is how they lived. This is their culture. Patrick was born in Britain of a Romanized family. At age 16, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders and carried into slavery in Ireland. After 6 years in servitude, he had a dream of his escape and fled his master. Surviving a narrowing journey back to Britain, he was eventually reunited with his family. Yes, St. Patrick from St. Patrick's Day was a human trafficking victim. Look at right here. St. Patrick was a victim of human trafficking and slavery. Kidnapped as a teenager, St. Patrick was kidnapped by Irish raiders and sold into slavery in Ireland. He was forced to work as a shepherd for 6 years. After having a dream of his escape, he fled his master and made a perilous journey back to Britain. He was eventually reunited with his family and returned to his studies in Britain. He studied in other parts of Europe and became a priest. He returned to Ireland as a missionary to bring Christianity to the people who had wronged him. He became a champion of justice and an early Christian voice against slavery. He and others built schools and churches to care for the poor. Bro, this goes back ancient times. But this tribe is not included in the tribes of history, of his story. This tribe's not included in the books in the Bible. The Persian traveler Ibn Rushd described how Vikings, the Varangians or Rus, terrorized and enslaved the Slavs, taken in their raids along the Volga River. These slaves were trafficked to the Middle East via the Bukhari slave trade. Now let's go to the Blue Bible, page 65. You see it says the Ishmaelites, Hagar, imported millions of the people of Adam into Arabia during their slave trade. As a result, their people gained access to the Quran, the Middle East, and the Arabic language. This is how you get so many in Arabia, claiming that they're the true Ishmaelites. They imported millions and millions and millions of the people of Adam that you now believe you're the people of. You feel what I'm saying? No. It was us, the guys, that gave them their land, gave them their language, gave them their books, and gave them their understanding. Let's keep going. The term slave has its origins in the word Slav. The Slavs who inhabited a large part of Eastern Europe were taken as slaves by the Muslims of Spain during the 9th century AD. Slavery can broadly be described as the ownership, buying, and selling of human beings for the purpose of forced and unpaid labor. As you see in the picture there, you see some Arabs with turbans on giving money to what looks like some clergy members of the Catholic Church who just dropped off some white slaves. Now, where can we pinpoint this at? I went all the way back to the Bible talking about the Ishmaelites with the slaves and all of that. We went all the way back to the Romans. We went all the way back to the Blue Bible, to the time of Moses. When can we pinpoint when white slavery begins, though? Well, when did they, like we just read the last thing, when did they start even using the term slaves? And when did they start going grabbing thousands, groups of thousands of people, just raiding thousands to throw them on ships and sell them right into slavery? Not even sell them. Sometimes sell them, but sometimes just take them right into slavery. When does this begin? Well, I can tell you that it took a while for the lines to be drawn in the sand like this, because it wasn't always like this. You know, it was every nation for itself. There was many different nations. There was many different nations. But as I've just been showing y'all for the last 30 minutes, there was only one nation known as Slav. The Slavic nation is not talked about in the Bible. It's not talked about in the Quran. It's not talked about in any of the holy books. It's not even talked about in the history books. They kind of try to like make it the Slavic language and all of that. So when I break it down in the Blue Bible about us, the guys teaching them in the Caucasus Mountains, giving them their books and giving them their language, giving them the land in Europe, creating them. As I broke down to you, the only name they retained through all their travels was Slav. So when Slav became identified, when they started using the word Slav, slave, for all the captives that they were grabbing in South Europe and taking to Africa and enslaving, it began with the story of Yaqub al-Mansur. Everything before this was not white slavery. It was just slavery of certain groups. And a lot of them happened to be Slavs and white slaves. But slavery had to do with my nation beat your nation, we take you captive. When did it become about we're going to Europe just to hunt for white people? This story starts with Yaqub al-Mansur. The story told in the Blue Bible. Now go to your Blue Bible and go to the Wise. Go to the Wise section. And yeah, for those, I see there's a lot more people coming in. I finally got the Black Indian Wars. If you got your copy already, tap in with me so I can make sure I get my copy to you.
Peace to the divine family is finally here. The Black Indian Wars. Tap in for your copy. And I got more of the Blue Bibles just in. Oh man, this is so great. Classic material. Tap in ASAP. The Black Indian Wars.
So page 3 of the Black Indian Wars. No cap. Got it right here. It says, at the Battle of Alarcos, over 300,000 so-called white Christians challenged the Moorish ruler Yaqub al-Mansur. To their surprise, they were defeated, chained in groups of 50, and shipped to Africa where they were sold. This was 300 years before the now infamous Atlantic slave trade. The people labeled white, Caucasian, by the United States were sold and traded in Africa as slaves. The word slave was derived from their ethnicity Slav. White slavery did not end until the conclusion of the Barbary Wars on July 3rd, 1815. Facts. Peace to the guy. He said, hey, I can't wait. So let's go to the Blue Bible and get some more details in this. Go to the Y section. Go down to Yaqub al-Mansur. It says page 48 and page 110. Now on page 48, it says, the Muslim lord Yaqub al-Mansur was the third caliph of the Almohad Empire, found by Ibn Tumar. He enslaved millions of Christians during the Holy Crusades. The captives he took were chained and shipped to Africa, where they were bought and sold. The word slave was derived from their ethnicity, Slavic. All right. Show and prove. So you see right here This is a map of Africa and Europe where they touch right there, where Spain touches Morocco. And you can see how much land after Yaqub al-Mansur took over that we went all the way into. See, the Almohad Empire was going all the way into Europe, all the way. Now, if you look on the other side of the map, you can see everything that was white and pink and green. There was no other territory challenging them right there. That's how it used to be when the Romans had control of Northwest Africa. So let's give a round of applause to Yaqub al-Mansur for running them devils up out of Africa and getting shit straight. Okay. How many Europeans were enslaved by the Barbary pirates? So after the time of Yaqub al-Mansur and them. Okay. So let's go to page 110 in the Blue Bible where it says more about Yaqub al-Mansur. It says, during the Holy Crusades, Yaqub al-Mansur captured thousands of Christians. He sold his captives in Africa. From Africa, they were sold as slaves until given the name Free White by the Freemasons in 1790 Rule of Naturalization Act. The year Yaqub took the throne is the same year Saladin took Jerusalem back from the devil. These were during the times of the greatest Muslim state, the Almohad Empire, in the lands of Al-Maghreb. So you got to understand that when this event went down, it lasted until the United States came and said, we're going to free these people. We're going to create the Free Naturalization Act of 1790. And if you agree to identify as white, speak English, practice Christianity, and help us on our mission to take this land from these originals up here, you can be part of the free white population. Facts. Christian Slaves, Muslim Masters by Robert C. Davis. So they would have you believe that it has all to do with, like some pimping, prostitution, white women. They were the majority of the people being trafficked, for sure. But don't get it twisted. White slavery didn't discriminate. Okay? It was for all of them. And this became the norm in the Islamic world. To the point that it became the custom. So this is when the word slave became the name for all subdued servants. It was the name of their actual race. See, and at this time, from the time before Yaqub al-Mansur, they were already running around Africa naked. But naked, as Adamites. You see what I'm saying? Now let's go to chapter 6 of the Blue Bible. It says, chapter 6 of the Blue Bible, when the Caucasian people of Adam first arrived in Egypt, they were searching for Luxor, the city they had heard so many myths about. It is similar to when the YouTuber Adam22 flew to Chicago to visit the notorious O Block. He was curious. He wanted to know what the myths were all about. But see, when they arrived in North Africa, the question is this documented, or is this just me in the Blue Bible saying, believe me? No. Chapter 6 of the Blue Bible is called Adamites for a reason. Because that's who we're talking about. I didn't make this up. The Adamites, also called Adamians, were adherents of an early Christian group in North Africa in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th centuries. They wore no clothing during their religious services. There were later reports of similar sects in Central Europe during the late Middle Ages. The obscure sect, dating probably from the 2nd century, professed to have regained Adam and Eve's primeval innocence. Various accounts are given of their origin. Some have thought them to have been an offshoot of the Carpocratians, who professed a sensual mysticism and a complete emancipation from the moral law. I mean, there you have it. They called their church paradise, claiming that its members were reestablished in Adam and Eve's state of original innocence, claiming they're babies. Y'all know what movement that is. Who's running around naked saying, oh, we're babies, and we identify with the babies? The Satanists of the day. The people, the followers of Adam Weishaupt of the Illuminati, that Adam. Let's go back to chapter 6 of the Blue Bible. It wasn't until after my No Jumper interview that I began to study Adam 22. I immediately noticed his devilish ways and his surname, Grand Macian. He is of a family of men who taught Napoleon to shoot the nose off the Sphinx in Africa. They endorsed the decapitation of our ancestors, King Louis XVI. They were and likely still are affiliated with the Illuminati. The Illuminati is real. It began as a fraternity created in Germany by a man named Adam Weishaupt in 1776. Their popularity in pop culture grew after the release of the book and movie Da Vinci Code. Prior to that, Europe's most popular fraternity was the Freemasons. On the other hand, the United States' most popular fraternity was the Ku Klux Klan. That's later when they formed their fraternities. Why are they so racist? Why are they so hell-bent on painting this false? Why they spend so much money to make us believe we were slaves? To erase their history of slavery. Show and prove. In 1786, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams sat down with Haji Abdul Rahman Ajah, the Tripolitan ambassador to Britain. They wanted to discuss the unprovoked attacks of the Barbary pirates on the American ships. Jefferson and Adams were understandably confused as to what was the motivation for the pirates to attack these American ships when the Americans had no quarrel with them. They recorded the ambassador responding in a letter saying that it was founded on the laws of their prophet, that it was written in their Quran that they must enslave these infidels. They have to. They said, God damn, it's in your religion to enslave us? What type of, huh? So George Washington said, look, man, hold on, man. I got to write a letter. I got to write a letter. Hold on. I got to figure this out. So George Washington wrote a letter to the Sultan of Morocco. And, you know, we ain't really got time to read the whole letter, so I'll just imagine it went a little something like this. Can I get some music? Let me get some music, please. Can I get some music, please? Okay. Dear Muhammad, your worthiness, your majesty, your greatness. Oh, I love you. You're so much. The way you shine, the way you so fly, Muhammad. The way you're dripping down head to toe, Muhammad. I just love you so much, Muhammad. Muhammad, we just some poor, struggling hustlers, man. We just some white Christian hustlers up here in America trying to get our bag, Muhammad. Muhammad, can we do our thing, Muhammad? Muhammad, please let us do our thing, Muhammad. Please, Muhammad. Don't do us like this, Muhammad. Please. You know what I'm saying? I can see right now George Washington all in the letter just begging, Your Highness, why y'all enslaving the homies, man? We ain't do nothing to y'all. Why you tripping like that? And, you know, Muhammad, man, I know this is your country. This is your world. I know, you know, it's your world, man. I'm just a squirrel trying to get in there. Is the letter, I could imagine the letter is a little bit something like that. Okay. So you got to understand that George Washington paid large sums of money to be down with the crown. That's a fact. That's a fact that a lot of people don't want to accept. That we have receipts about this. George Washington wrote a letter to Muhammad, Sultan Muhammad in Africa, to be down. You don't want to talk about that though, right? Okay. So Muhammad wrote back and said, "That's cool. I feel you. That's what's up. But you know we're gonna need that bag, right? You already know what it is." So, how much did the United States pay out to the nations of the Barbary Coast in 1795? Huh? Did y'all even know that? They had to pay to get down with the crown. Facts on top of facts. See, you're not ready for that, though. See, page 100 of the Blue Bible. His story attempts to erase the legacy of the Washita by calling their kings and nations chiefs and tribes. The name itself was replaced with the surnames Washington and the title Choctaw. The United States teaches that its first president, George Washington, gave the name to our ancestors by way of slavery. This is a dangerous lie used to detach the original people from their own land. We are denied our birthrights by way of this sort of technology and paper genocide. The truth is, George Washington paid large sums of money to the Berber rulers of North Africa for the privilege to form the United States of Al-Morocco. I refer to U.S. Tripoli Treaty of 1796, November 4th, the receipt. Okay? So, how much let me catch up with y'all. Okay, so how much did the United States pay out to the nations of the Barbary Coast in 1795? On September 5th, 1795, American negotiator Joseph Donaldson signed a peace treaty with the Dey of Algiers that included an upfront payment of $642,500 in silver coinage for peace, the release of American captives, expenses, and various gifts for the Dey's royal court and family. American captives? That sounds like slaves. And they're in North Africa? That sounds like the Adamites. Oh, so you want me to believe the Adamites just disappeared out of North Africa? All the slaves that was being brought there by all the Muslims disappeared out of North Africa. All the slaves that was brought there by Yaqub and al-Mansur and all of them disappeared out of Africa. And they was over here buying slaves out of Africa. The white slaves out of Africa. Okay. So if you already ordered a copy of the Black Indian Wars, tap in. We got the books now. We on deck. Okay. Look.
Peace to the divine family is finally here. The Black Indian Wars. Tap in for your copy. And I got more of the Blue Bibles just in. Oh man, this is so great. Classic material. Tap in ASAP. The Black Indian Wars.
Okay. So, in the Black Indian Wars, it's written right here on page 3. White slavery did not end until the conclusion of the Barbary Wars on July 3rd, 1815. Right? So, in 1793, there were 115 American slaves in Algiers. That's what they counted. That's the white slaves from America. That's not including the white slaves from all over the place. So the question is, when did we get, peace to Ome Bay. He said, damn, more, I need that Black Indian Wars. Tap in. Hit my line directly, Mo. Text me. You already know what's up. I'm live right now. Just text me. I'll hit you as soon as I get off. You already know what's up, Mo. So when did we get the name slave? Because I just showed you over and over again who the Slav was, who the slave was, who had the names, how they were still dealing with this in the 1800s. Well, according to the divine constitution of the Moorish Science Temple, Act 6, Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. During the time of war, when they would take captives and give them these names, the same way we were taking captives over there. This is why it says he had to pay so much money for American captives. They had to cash out $642,500 in silver coin. How many millions would that be today? Come on, man. That's a lot. More receipts. More, look it, man. More receipts. What is this? This says the present writing done by our hand and delivered to the American Captain O'Brien makes known that he has delivered to us 40,000 Spanish dollars, 13 watches of gold, silver, and pitchbox, 5 rings, of which 3 of diamonds, 1 of sapphire, 1 with a watch in it, 140 pieces of cloth, and 4 cartons of brocade on this account of peace concluded with the Americans. This is on the 20th day of Jumad 1211, corresponding to the 21st day of November 1796. It's the next year. They keep having to pay for peace. Why? They got to pay not only for peace, they got to pay to get their homies back because they over here. These are the white slaves that y'all don't want to believe. Adam. So here goes a book. The Algerian Captive. Now, here's what's so cold. This is how the U.S. started. That's why I said this is the beginning of their identity, because 1790 is when they started the free whites. So this book was released in 1797. The Algerian Captive are the life and adventures of Dr. Updike Underhill. 6 years a prisoner among the Algerians is one of America's first novels, published anonymously in 1797 by early American author Royal Tyler. The novel takes the form of a fictitious memoir. Right? In the novel, this man is describing being a captive of the Africans in North Africa. He's a white American slave. Okay? But they ain't gonna tell you this, though. You see what I'm saying? Now, let me just go and see if I could get something with this. Okay. This is coming from the secret library. Tap in with me too. You know, I got the secret library full-fledged and active. Just hit me with your budget. We go out there, we get printouts, rare books, all of that. We just started this about a month ago. It's been going pretty cool, so tap in. The Algerian Captive, a work to which, through now forgotten, belongs to the honor of being among the earliest literary productions of our country, reprinted in London at a time when few American books were even known. It was published anonymously, but is known to have been written by Royal Tyler, afterwards Chief Justice of Vermont, in the form of a narrative of personal adventures extending through 2 volumes. As a slave in Algiers, the author depicts the horrors of this condition. In this regard, it is not unlike the story of Archie Moore in our own day, displaying the horrors of American slavery. The author, while engaged as a surgeon on board a ship in the African slave trade, is taken captive by the Algerians. After describing the reception of the poor Negroes, he says, "I cannot reflect on this transaction yet without shuddering. I have deplored my conduct with tears of anguish, and I pray a merciful God, the common parent of the great family of the universe, who have made one flesh, one blood, all nations." Now, this is what I found interesting. After describing the reception of the poor Negroes, right? So he is working on, check this out. He's a surgeon on a ship that's dealing with the African slave trade. But they didn't spare him because he was white. They took his ass too, because the slaves up there were white. You ain't catch that though. See? So let's reverse this and understand that $21,000, another tribute, right? Peace with Tripoli for the sum of $50,000 under the guarantee of the Dey of Algiers, who was declared to be the mutual friend of the parties. Okay. As early as 1787, a treaty with a more liberal character had been entered into with Morocco, which was confirmed in 1795 at the price of $20,000. Okay. They were big cashing out for not only peace, but to buy back their people. Finally, June 1815, a treaty was extorted from the Day of Algiers, by which, after abandoning all claim to the tribute in any form, he delivered his American captives. So, where did this ideal even come from? Where did they get the ideal that they could make a whole empire ran by white slaves? It was already being done in Egypt with the Mamelukes. They literally imitated what was being done in Egypt at the time with the Mamelukes. They literally, I would even go as far as to say that when the white man, the white slave, let me be perfectly clear about this. When the white slave, the Mamelukes, took over Egypt from the 1200s on up, the Turks came in the 1300s and shut that down. But they still had power. They still were able to use their position in the military to control the government and run shit. They still learned how to be a secret government, a second government, a shadow government. And you see them doing that with us now. They'll put you in the front of a company, a record label, or anything real fast. They'll let you be the face and the fall guy while they sit in the back. They waited patiently. They tried to get into Egypt for thousands of years. Even when the Greeks came, they married in. They didn't really get that dominance. And even when the Romans came, they had to shut the government down because they just couldn't conduct it. It wasn't until the Mamelukes came because the Mamelukes knew Islam. Page 65 of the Blue Bible. The Ishmaelites, Hagar, imported millions of the people of Adam into Arabia during their slave trade. As a result, their people gained access to the Quran, the Middle East, and the Arabic language. So the Mamelukes that were there knew the Quran, had ties with people throughout the Middle East, and spoke the Arabic language. So they're going to say, we're Muslims. We're the top Muslims. Right? These people tried to blow up the pyramids. These people destroyed millions on top of millions of our artifacts, of our scrolls. They took our mummies and ate them. It's called mumia. Don't believe me? Don't believe me, huh? Who knows what I'm talking about? Who want to join the live? I'll put it up on the screen right now. There you have it. Mumia, originally mummy, referred to several different preparations in the history of medicine. Powdered human mummies. It originated from Arabic mumia, a type of resinous bitium found in Western Asia, used curatively. Batium was transliterated into Latin as mumia, a bitomous medicine from Persia. Now, the point is, they used to take the mummies, grind them up, turn it into a powder. Sometimes they even have parties because after a while, you know what I mean, so many people wanted this stuff that they just started kidnapping people and just like, hey, just give them a dead body. That's when you see in the parties when they be having the lady lay on the table, butt naked as they eat. They reenacting this action of eating the people. How'd they get access to so many mummies and all that? The Mamelukes. when the Mamelukes, when the rulers in Egypt, the Arab rulers, kept getting such large militaries of all these white slaves they were importing. Once Saladin came and his ancestors, they wasn't feeling none of our culture. They tried to destroy the pyramids. Like I said, they destroyed so many books. They let the Mamelukes really get into power like that. You feel me? And by letting them to really get into power like that, it really brought a downfall to the empire. And that's a fact.
The word Indian means, the indigenous people. And all indigenous people are black. And since they thought they could erase our history, I know the only history you can't erase is wars. Anytime a war takes place, it's going to be documented, it's going to be descriptions. So, I'm just here to show and prove the real.
Peace to the family. If you want to join in, I just put the link down there. Hold on, I'm about to get the family up in here. Y'all know I gotta get ADL up in here. Hold on. How do I copy it? Okay, let's go. So this ideal came from them watching the Mamelukes pull this off. So after watching the Mamelukes pull this off, here comes Napoleon. Now let's break down this Mameluke thing right quick. So the people enslaved in Egypt during Islamic times mostly came from Europe and the Caucasus, referred to as Mameluke, white. Those that came from Sudan and Africa south of the Sahara through the trans-Saharan slave trade, referred to as black or abid. So abid in Arabic is like servant. You have abd or abud, abd, Abdullah, servant. Abid, I believe, is plural. And even though even though all of them were abid, they would use this term mostly for the black ones. The white ones they were put into the military Mameluke. This is how they came to power. Watching these militaries full of their people that were enslaved turn into rulers of Egypt, of all places, inspired Napoleon and Jefferson to try to do the same thing over here. A lot of people don't know the Mamelukes pulled it off first in Egypt, what they pulled off over here. You feel me? Can you hear me, Aki?
Yeah, okay. I thought that was rhetorical. My bad. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. What's going on? Yeah, the story of the Spanish, coming here as conquistadors. It is told of a fantasy type of way where they came here and they automatically ruled this area. No, they suffered hardship, just because they landed here, didn't know how to cultivate the ground. They didn't know the language of the people. And so you're not just gonna come over here and rule over people. It was a lot of these towns that failed. It ended up eating their own horses.
Hold on,
each other.
Hold on. The Napoleon's not Spanish and Jefferson's not Spanish. See, we can't hop around because that's a whole nother conversation. They'll get into Moors and all of that, who really came first. I'm saying because I know you just got the video because we've been going for about an hour. The white,
my bad.
The 1790 free white, not Spanish, not French, the white, right? The documented. We finna make a new group called white. 1790, right? And we are going to rule and we are going to ship all these white slaves over here to do it, right? This sounds far-fetched to people, so I've been showing them receipts for a whole hour.
Got you.
Different wars and these different receipts of these different cashing out and high amounts they paid to get the captives back, all these different slaves from North Africa, right? These white slaves, and bring them over here. And what I'm saying is, if you think about it, groups of hundreds or thousands of white slaves being hoarded somewhere and creating an empire there where they rule is exactly what happened with the Mamelukes. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. The just like the Mamelukes got imported into Egypt. The Germans, the Polish, the Irish got imported into the Americas and Australia. That's facts. Into the Caribbeans.
Yeah, and the African slaves. See, here's the thing: if you were enslaved in Africa, right,
mm-hmm.
and you were shipped here, that's the African slave. They're not going to call you a German slave, especially if your family been there for hundreds of years already, right? So this is the untold. Yeah. This is the untold. This is why I feel like the Blue Bible comes in so cold with this, because it's like no one talks about this. A lot of people are like they wouldn't dare get on it, right? So,
right.
Now you see, like I said, this was Napoleon. Now look, check this out. When they were shipped into Egypt, how did they come to power? By converting to Islam. See what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the same trick used by Napoleon and Jefferson. Napoleon, Memoirs of Napoleon Bonaparte. Arabia was idolatrous when 6 centuries after Jesus, Muhammad introduced the worship of the god Abraham, Ishmael. This is the writings of Napoleon. So all of a sudden he invades Egypt. Now he's talking about his name is Ali Bonaparte, and he wants to be down.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? This is the game that they play.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah. What we know as today. Yeah, man, it's what they call it cosplay. They cosplayed Native American indigenous people. They cosplayed it, Exactly. And there's one story specifically that can tell you they cosplayed it. It's called the Boston Tea Party.
So it says, after defeating the native Mamelukes, so they did have Mamelukes that were dark as well, but you notice the only ones that were getting in power were the white ones. After defeating the native Mamelukes, he named himself Ali Bonaparte and introduced the printing press to Egypt. This is the beginning of Egyptology. The story of Egypt is his story, not ours. So even Egyptology, you ever notice when you first start studying it, it's all the Greek names. You got to kind of meet some Black Power Afrocentrists before you start learning about, Kemet and Heru and Asar. First, you're gonna get Egypt, Osiris, Isis, all the Greek names. Well, that actually is the work of Napoleon and them. They introduced the printing press to Egypt. So a lot of that story that they wrote was their influence on it. You know what I mean? Remember, the French were the ones picking up a lot of stuff over there.
Right. Now that's interesting. The reason why you would have to create a printing press is because you didn't have enough scribers who believed in what you were saying. So you had to create an instrument to write down your story multiple times, and she's just the same story repeating. So now we refer to these indigenous gods with Greek names, so much so.
Yeah, you're mass producing the propaganda. Now here's what I find interesting. Napoleon comes in and does this, but here's the part that we don't know about over here in America. Jefferson did the same thing. Here goes a book about his Quran, right? Islam and the Founders by Denise A. Spellberg. Okay. Islam and the founders. So let's see what this is about. Why was Thomas Jefferson, just like Napoleon, reading the Quran? Why were they were studying us? Now remember, in the beginning of the video, y'all, it's a lot of people just got here. Let me go back. Remember how they started. The U.S. government representatives did not know nothing about what was going on. They didn't have the knowledge of the world and Islam and all of that. So they were just getting out of slavery their damn self. They had been shipped over here. They didn't know about what was going on in Africa. So when they put their first ships out there, they start getting kidnapped. And they found out it was a bunch of their British friends that were kidnapped and being held in Africa too. There was white slaves from all over the world being held in North Africa. So Thomas Jefferson and John Adams went to have a seat with Abdul Rahman and asked him, why, bro, what's going on? Why y'all keep? He said, man, this is written in our Quran. This is our law to kidnap y'all and enslave y'all. Y'all no good. He said, huh? Nah, bro. So George Washington wrote a letter to the Sultan Muhammad. He said, man, bro, y'all tripping, man. We're not with that stuff, bro. We're not no Christian. We're not even Christian. We're not haters. We're not with none of that, bro. We're just some good old white hustlers. So then he said, okay, you could be down, but you got to cash out. So this is where they first cashed out, $642,500 in silver coinage, which it'd probably be like millions in this day money.
Right.
So they were paying to be there. They were paying the Muslims, paying the Africans. So we see this again, more and more receipts. Then we see books being written about being trapped over there. So now they have to pay more and more people. And while this is going on, the Mamelukes is having it their way. Now, but they had a common enemy, the Turks. The Ottoman Turks controlled all of that. You know what I'm saying? So they had to figure out what's in that Quran, what is going on in Islam that's making these people do this. So this is when Napoleon comes, it's Ali Bonaparte. This is when Thomas Jefferson gets his Quran, and they're becoming the, doing what they do over here. Now,
right.
Here's what's interesting here.
And let me add before you go forward, that Quran is what Thomas Jefferson swore into his presidency on.
I never heard that. I don't
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I no propaganda. That's a quick Google. Did Thomas Jefferson swear in on a Bible or a Quran? It'll tell you Quran.
No,
that's how hard they pledged it.
I think he swore in on the Bible, and he had the Quran in the cut. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was studying it.
Yeah, it's Googleable. It's Wikipedia or Googleable.
You saying Thomas Jefferson swore in?
Yeah, when you get swore in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's.
I don't know.
That's
kind of hard.
I know. Woo! Is that a big one right there?
Thomas Jefferson?
Yeah. Look it up. I mean, we all here.
You want me to look it up?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Look it up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I ain't a lie. You know what I'm saying? But
did Thomas
that's
Jefferson
how
swear in? I'm saying you talking about in the presidency?
Yes.
Come on, bro. Where the hell you hear this from?
Bro, just Google it, bro. Don't beat me up. Please stop hitting on me.
I looked it up. I don't see it. I'm trying to venture forward.
Oh, okay. All right. We can move forward. We can move forward.
To let you breathe.
Oh, okay. My bad. Oh yeah. Let me live then.
Hold on though. But you did get to a point though here. Okay. He did not swear in on the Quran. However, there are how do I explain it? Calvin Coolidge and Thomas Jefferson did not use a Bible at their oath-taking ceremonies. So they did not use the Bible. You feel what I'm saying? These is like some ranked up Masons, bro. They're not no Christians.
Right. But what did they use? It don't say what they use, huh?
Hey, maybe he did use the Quran. Maybe this is
Man,
high level black
right.
shit.
That's what I'm like.
You got me wondering now.
No, I know what they swore. They swore it on Cat in the Hat.
No, I'm gonna tell you why though. Because they did sign a treaty saying that they were not Christian in 1796 in Tripoli.
Bro, you couldn't step foot on America. Now this is me. This is my understanding. You couldn't step foot on America without backing indigenous spirituality or Islam. That's my.
No. They had Christians over here, bro. You know that. Me and you had plenty of conversations. We know they had bullshit Christians over here. I'm saying
right.
To form a, because that's too broad of a statement. You talking about to form a government.
Right.
I'm like the individual. You have religious freedom. That's why they was coming here. But to form a government here, to be in line with the other governments and part of the council, you have to have some type of adherence to something that we standing on.
Yeah, okay. That's a better way of saying it. Yep. That's a better way of saying I stand corrected. Yep.
Because it was religious freedom. That was the selling point. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. We'll move on. We'll get into that one. Another video. Was it religious freedom here? Right?
No, I'm not saying was it here. Listen what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
The selling point. I said selling point. They're selling, hey, it's religious freedom. They're selling that to you. So you come over and you can set your group up. There's nothing we got to go back and forth about. We know about the Quakers and the Whoopty-Womps and the Didops and the Catholics and the.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's not a mystery. It's just that
right.
Set up your government needs to have like your government, not your little group, your government. So whether you're the British or the Spanish or to adhere with the other groups, when they hear your constitution, it has to have something to do with a higher power. You're gonna have your different belief system, but you gotta believe in what. But here's the point though, because we're going too far off of what I'm talking about. The point is that Tripoli Article 11 of the 1796 Treaty, the United States government, it says that the United States government is not based on Christianity and that the U.S. has no hostility towards the laws, religion, or tranquility of Muslims. So yeah, he probably did have a Quran there and they don't want to talk about it because they signed a treaty saying that, oh yeah, we're not Christians. They was trying to get out of paying all that money and trying to get some more of their slaves back. But wasn't nothing working. So what happened?
The Sultan.
What do you mean the Sultan?
They tried to get up under someone else's protection because they're fleeing away from the crown.
No. They was establishing their own government and they was paying for protection. They wasn't getting protected by them from somebody else. They was paying them because they was enslaving them. They were buying back captives every time. Every time they paid them, they got people back. This is the part that nobody wants to put into their brain. They were white slaves in North Africa. They were paying to get these people out of slavery and bring them back over here. You get what I'm saying? They wasn't paying like, oh, the big bad British gonna come get this. They was paying because these niggas was taking them. Look, this is a book called White Slaves in the Barbary States. You listening to me?
I'm here. That's your mute. Go ahead.
In 1793, there were 115 American slaves in Algeria. That's just Algeria alone. Tripoli had some American white slaves. Tunisia has some American white slaves. Morocco has some American white slaves. And that's just the American ones. They had French ones. They had Spanish ones. You get what I'm saying? They were paying for that. So Thomas Jefferson is the first one to refuse to keep paying tribute. The treaties included tributes or protection money to keep the pirates from attacking their ships. The first Barbary War began when President Thomas Jefferson refused to pay the tributes associated with the Barbary State treaties. It's come from study.com.
Man, that's why you can't let nobody grow up under you. As soon as they got big enough, they stopped paying them tributes.
Exactly. He said, man, it seems like we're not getting ahead. I'm ready to go to war. Now let's go to the Blue Bible, because I want to kind of build this up. I think there's a build up here that's very important to understand. Okay, so I would suggest the Blue Bible.
Man, we got to timestamp that one, man. It seems like we're not getting ahead. It's time to strike. Look, we call it striking.
Yeah.
Why is it called striking? When you stop, going to work, when you stop paying, in labor, you know what I mean? Striking is a war. You know what I mean? So we're looking at this, the beginnings of America, and on the shores of America, even today, what do they call, either the ports are striking. This is where money and economy, are meeting.
Mm-hmm.
On the shores of America, on the East Coast, right here in this story. And today it still continues. They just got off strike, 3 or 4 days ago, these same locations, Virginia, Maine, Georgia, all the way down to Texas, Beaumont, Houston. This is an ongoing story. This is not history. This is the beginning to the present.
Yes, sir. So page 48 in the Blue Bible says, in 1798, the French general Napoleon shot the nose off the Sphinx in Egypt during the Battle of the Pyramids. This represented the freeing of the slave people through the American Revolution and French Revolution. Before the revolutions, the people we now call white were slaves. In 1801, U.S. President Jefferson refused to pay his landlord, Yusuf Karmanali. As a result, the U.S. Barbary Wars began. That same year, Napoleon refused to recognize the sovereignty of the people of Haiti after the French Revolution. As a result, Napoleon's soldiers were forced out of the Americas in 1803. To retaliate, Jefferson and Napoleon orchestrated a deal known as the Louisiana Purchase. So they're like, man, we done. We tired of paying them, bro. Let's just make this little deal. We're gonna take all this land right here. Really, you just got ran up out of here. But instead of you just leaving fair and square, now you're gonna sign this deal with him, getting him permission, fake permission to go to the land. He gonna give you some money to help you with your war in Europe, because they had a plan already together. Because the people they were fighting in Europe and Africa were us, the Moors. The royal nobles of all that area around the whole Mediterranean. Not only was the deal illegal, it was a scam. The people of the Louisiana territory were free after the revolution. Still, Napoleon refused to honor their status as landlords. At the same time, he was selling private lands he did not have rights to. In the years of Henry Turner versus the United States court case, it is showed and proved that Napoleon did not sell all of Louisiana to Thomas Jefferson. Instead, he sold him was a $15 million bond.
Damn. So that means
he promised him that this plan was going to work. That's why he's sitting on that Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, and the people in Louisiana were told they were now sold. Their land was now sold. After they were independent. This was a sovereign nation right now.
So here goes another receipt. Let's read this. Given at Tripoli in Barbary the 6th day of the first month of Rabia, 1220, corresponding with the 4th day of June, 1805. There goes all the names: Yusuf Karnali, Muhammad Karnali, Muhammad Kaya, Hamid Muhammad. We hereby acknowledge to have received from the hands of Colonel Tobias Lear the full sum of $60,000, mentioned as ransom for 200 Americans, in the treaty of peace concluded between us and the United States of America on the 6th day of the first month of Rabi'a 1220, and of all demands against the said United States. Okay? So this didn't end as is written in the new book, The Black Indian Wars. It doesn't end until July 3rd, 1815 in Algeria. What doesn't end though? Glad you asked. During the Al-Andalus, also known as Muslim Spain or the Islamic Iberia, the Moors controlled much of the peninsula. They imported white Christian slaves from the 8th century until the end of the Reconquista in the late 15th century. The slaves were exported from the Christian section of Spain, as well as Eastern Europe, Sakaliba, where the word slave comes from, sparking significant reaction from many in Christian Spain and many Christians still living in Muslim Spain. The Muslims followed the same technique as the Romans to capture slaves, seeking cities to ally with them. Soon after, Muslims were successful, taking 30,000 Christian captives from Spain. In the 8th century, slavery lasted longer due to the Muslim.
How many centuries?
Well, they want to say from the 8th to the 15th, but we've shown and proven by the time of Yaqub al-Mansur to the Ville, it continued after that. It went on for thousands of years.
Yeah, because they were still paying tribute in America.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it went on from what, 400 year 600 all the way to the 1700s.
No, let me take you back.
Thomas Jefferson.
No,
Damn.
Let's rewind the tape back. Hold on. So I'm glad you did that because it is a lot more people just joined the video. So check this out. We're gonna go all the way back to the Adamites. The Adamites are an early Christian group in North Africa, tracing all the way back to the right after Jesus dies. We're talking about the 2nd century, 3rd century. And they were running around with no clothes, talking about they feel close to Adam and Eve and they're innocent and they're babies, basically. That sounds like them dudes that run America right now, right?
That's what it looked like on TV.
The Adamites, okay? So North Africa, butt naked white Adamites, all of a sudden pull up in ships. Ships are pulling up to buy them and take them to North America. Are you catching on now, brother, what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about this bloodline that's not talked about in no Quran, in no Bible, in no history book, or none of that. But low key it is when Crip Jesus reveals to you that these are the people of Adam, not us. See what I'm saying? This is the Adam they're talking about.
Man.
So, during the raids of the Vikings, they often captured people from the British Isles and Slavs from Eastern Europe. What does that mean, brother? Why so many groups that had slavery captured Slavs? Because that's where the name came from. Slavs, from them. So then you see right here, the Vikings, they did raids on the Slavs. They got most of their slaves from the Slavs, Eastern Europe. Right here it says that the term slave came from the Muslims capturing so many Slavs in Eastern Europe. In Spain, bringing them to Spain in the 9th century AD. That's the 800s. So the years range. But I know that I started it right here with Yaqub al-Mansur because I said everything else was just groups of people. You feel me? They might have had a couple Slavs, a couple Africans, a couple. The Yaqub al-Mansur is the first time that over 250,000 white Christians lined up to attack us at once. And we beat all of them and took hundreds of thousands of them into slavery in Africa. Them people never.
In what year? In what year was it? You just said 800s, right?
No, this is in the year 1185 at the Battle of Alarcos.
Okay.
The Black Indian Wars. That's the first chapter. And it's talked about in the Blue Bible is mentioned, but the year and all that. So after this, it becomes a full-fledged trade. As you can see, the Almohad Empire all the way up in Europe just snatched them up. Right.
Right.
So they assume that it was millions captured. Now look at that part of Africa: Algiers, Tripoli, Tunisia, Morocco. That's the same exact part where the Barbary pirates were. It's the same exact part that followed Yaqub al-Mansur. That's the area. These are the people that the Americans. So that's why I said instead of just dealing with all white and all black, the conversation gets too big. Let's deal with the exact group of whites that started America. Let's deal with the exact group of blacks they were beefing with. And let's see what the story is between them. And this is the story we find.
Facts. I'm looking at how when they came in up there to San Andalus, they've been up under Moorish control all the way from there to to Thomas Jefferson.
Come on, bro. That's 1,000 years in itself.
That's 1,000 years, bro.
7-Eleven?
7-Eleven, bro, to Thomas Jefferson.
That's over 1,000 years. That's going on 1,100. So that's why on July 3rd, 1815, the Second Barbary War ended with the U.S. Check this out. The U.S. had 500 captives. They traded them all for just 10 of theirs in 10 bands. They just wanted peace. They said, look, man, y'all can have 500 people back. Just give us 10 of our captives, give us a little money, and just promise you ain't gonna keep doing this to us.
These are our beggars. These are our beggars.
Now, it never stopped amongst the Europeans. Historian Richard Hofstadter pointed out that although efforts were made to regulate or check their activities, it diminished in importance in the 18th century. It remains true that a certain small part of the European colonial population of America was brought by force. A much larger population came in response to deceit and misrepresentation on the part of the spirits. That was the name for the recruiting agents. One spirit named William was known to have spirited away 840 people from Britain to the colonies. Called them spirits, bruh. Like a ghost. Ooh, lift your spirits. Your spirit. That gives you a whole different meaning to what they were saying on them slave boats now.
Huh.
The spirits. See, these English words is tricky, man.
And where were they departing from?
Britain.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing there they was doing in Africa. It's another white slave. Though little acknowledged in history, there was in those days a thriving trade in stolen children and others. Those engaged in kidnapping were called spirits, and many of those who were spirited away were taken to North America. In January 1743, Williamson fell victim to the trade when he was kidnapped while playing on the quay at Aberdeen. His autobiography gives his age as 8 at the time. Some of the Aberdeen bailies were suspected of colluding with the traffickers. An estimated 600 children disappeared from the port when the trade was at its height between 1740 and 1746.
Man, this
now
is,
look at the years there. That's before America was started.
Bruh.
America don't start till 1776. This is the point I'm making. They were shipped here as slaves, but everybody wanted to keep arguing with me. When I put in the book 66.6%, they said nah. I said, well, let's stop going off opinion. Let's go look at it. Let's go look at where they shipped them from. Now, everybody loves to talk about, as soon as I bring up white slave people, say, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the German and the Irish. We know about the indentured service. We know that's not hidden. What I'm saying is, when they're saying the word African slave, they're not mentioning to you that all North Africa and Northwest Africa had a very large population of white African slaves that had been there for over 1,000 years. And not only were they being sold and shipped out, America was even paying to get their own people back that were getting kidnapped off these ships. They just don't want us to ever have no dominance in our story.
And I would like to add in Northwest Africa, because some of those ports from West Africa that we like to go visit and cry inside of, Nigga, them could be white people ports. Why you thinking your ancestors are the only people who went through there? That's what I would like to add in. You don't have we have not just ports in West Africa for black slaves. We got ports in West Africa for white slaves. But they paint the image that all black people were sold from these ports. No, like you saying, white folks were sold from these ports.
I'm saying this. I'm not talking about West Africa. See, my thing is this: we don't gotta mix it. We can look at exactly what we're looking at. If they want to say when they built Al Kamina Castle off the coast of the Gold Coast in West Africa, they were strictly shipping black people, that could be true.
Right.
Because it could have been an African nation at war with another African nation. Okay, cool.
Okay.
But what that got to do with North Africa? See, Africa big as hell. So let's go to North Africa and Northwest Africa. You know why? Because I'm not talking about slavery. That's not what we're talking about today, all of slavery. See, those black people that they were shipping out of Angola and Congo and all that, they were shipping them to South America. They were shipping them to the Caribbean. We know where they went. We're talking about the Barbary Wars. When Jefferson and George Washington and the founding fathers started the U.S., they always trick us by talking about the founding of the Americas. We're talking about just the U.S. today. When did the white people of the U.S., I ain't talking about Irish, I'm talking about that name, white, that they started in 1790, free white.
Gotcha.
They created them by shipping in the people. Now you get what I'm saying? The people that they were buying in the middle of that Barbary conflict and trying to figure out what they were going to do with that. These were the people they were shipping in and giving the name free white. That's why it says in there, oh, if you've been here for 2 years and you're white, you're good. You can be free white now. That was for them. That was for them white slaves coming out of North Africa. Right? And now we're showing also white slaves coming from out of Europe. So So I don't disagree with you though, because let's be real, Mansa Musa, Sunni Ali, you know what I mean, Askia Muhammad. I don't think that they just had all black slaves. For a fact, I know for a fact they didn't. So I'm with you on that. But I'm saying the stuff we're talking about right now is undeniable. The numbers is there.
This is primary.
There. The records is there. We ain't got to go pseudo. We ain't got to go extra deep. This is just a nigga denial at this point.
This is primary documentation of first encounters in North Africa.
See, like somebody put Afrikaners from the Dutch tribes. No, that's not what we're talking about. So that's why I say we don't need to be mixing it. Listen, y'all, the days of mixing the info is over now. We got computers and shit now. We ain't gonna let these white people keep laughing at us. Okay. The Dutch, no, I'm serious, because that's why I write these books. That's why I take all this time, and you know what I mean? Don't go out to the party and none of that. I'm very serious about our people having this information right and exact. So we understand the story of the Afrikaans with the K, the Dutch people that went down to South Africa and mixed in and called themselves the indigenous, the looters of the land of Africa. That's not what we're talking about here. We're saying that the people enslaved in Africa, where that word comes from, slave and Slav, were a white Slavic people from Europe for thousands of years, going back to the Ishmaelites, selling them to the Egyptians.
Right.
Okay. That's how Yusuf got into Egypt. The white people claim that they were slaves on the Nile River. All that. We're going back to then. And we're saying that those people, they were in Africa for over hundreds of years. So they were African after a while. You get what I'm saying? And they were slaves and they were sold. And some of them weren't sold. Some of them became Mamelukes and became rulers through the military, through schools in Egypt. But we got to stop making it a story of how they, like how you said, how they paint it like it's just us. You feel me? Oh, peace, brother. You say you're just asking. Okay, my bad. But you're right, though. They do have white Africans. But the point I'm making is African slaves. We always think of the slaves in Africa as us. Even when you do admit it to yourself, you don't see nobody talking about white slaves being sold from Africa. No. Like the brother was just saying, it could be anybody. Sally Miller white slave sold from Europe, was an American woman enslaved sometime in the late 1810s, whose freedom suit in Louisiana was based on her claimed status as a free German immigrant and indentured servant born to non-enslaved parents. The case attracted wide attention and publicity because of the issue of white slavery. In Sally Miller versus Luis Belmonte, the Louisiana Supreme Court ruled in her favor, and Miller gained her freedom. So you had many of indentured servants who, while they were doing their indenture, they would like cancel it and redo it, like a 6 year, or they sell them to somebody else. They, they screw them around. So they tell us this story like, oh, they didn't have white slaves, man. They had, yes, they did. As a matter of fact, a lot of the slaves were their own children, like I said in the Blue Bible. So sometimes they were mixed or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a deep story right there because, these people are like, what? You enslaved your own child? Yeah, in certain cases.
No, in all the cases. In all the cases. That's how they created the slaves. Thomas Jefferson. All right, let's break it down. Let's go to Thomas Jefferson since we're talking about it. Thomas Jefferson had tons of children by his slave women. What do you think he did with those children, bro? He just freed them all? You heard what I said, right?
Yeah, I'm listening to. I'm agreeing with you. Yep.
When they would have slaves with they slave women, what do you think they did with them? They didn't free them. They enslaved them. That was their kids.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I mean, even in those days, I like to add that women, wives, whether free or not free, weren't even allowed to own property. You know what I'm saying? So I was just adding into the fact that, this is how it was.
This is one woman alone. This is how you create slaves. You make them, you take the slave person and you breed them out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. But then you have sex with them too, so you can create different colors of them. That's how they made the mulatto, the quadroon, the octoroon, and all that. That's from them mixing with their slave population and doing it on purpose. See, they want us to think it was just some cases. Oh, grandpa slipped back there and had to no. It was systematic. They would take a couple, they'll take one black family and have sex with them in all type of different ways and have sex with the kid's kid and the kid of the kid. And that's how they would create different shades and different lights and different types. It was all white slavery. Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings had 6 children together, all of whom are believed to have been fathered by Jefferson. Jefferson recorded the births of Sally's children in his farm book, but did not list the father for Sally's children as he did for other slaves born on the property. Jefferson freed all of Sally's children and they were treated differently than the other slaves in Monticello. See what I'm saying?
Yep, I see.
Sally Hemings. No, check this out. She was a female enslaved person with 1/4. Yeah, you thought she was going, you thought she was going to be some black old African hopping off the ship and all that stupid stuff, right?
Yep, that's what I was waiting for, that story right there.
Yeah,
yep.
I know. That's what I'm trying to show y'all, man. Get back in that Blue Bible, read it again, y'all, because I gave y'all the answers there, but it's just so hard for this. It's a hard pill to swallow. The way I just put it so plainly. They was enslaving their own children, bro. She was a female enslaved person. She was only 1/4 black. She was owned.
You can't even tell she was black. 1/4.
Check this out.
That's a Mariah Carey.
Are you ready for this? Guess who he got her from? Guess who he got her from?
Let's go.
He got her from his father-in-law. She was already a slave. She was his father-in-law's daughter. Was Betty Hemings, daughter of an enslaved woman and an English captain, John Hemings. Are you hearing this? They all are daughters of slave masters. I don't make this up, bro.
Period.
When I write something in the book, I mean it.
Come on. So he bought somebody else's granddaughter that he made.
John Hemmings is a slave master. He had a baby with his slave. That's her.
Right.
Okay. Then she comes along with Thomas Jefferson and has a baby with him. That's slaves. And then part of her deal is for him to free them eventually. Her babies was 1/8 African.
Come on, man.
We can't even say African. They were 1/8 what we call black.
Right. I'm about to say
Because how
they
you
didn't say African.
No, it said African. No, it did say African. But how do you even know when you're going through 4 or 5 generations of undocumented people?
Right.
And the only thing being documented is their white blood.
But
the point is, though, on page 102 of the Blue Bible, it says the first people labeled white married into the nations of North America and enslaved their own children. The plantations they built were sex farms, breeding grounds, where they used eugenics to create slaves. This was their way of civilizing people. Come on, man.
Right. And when it says 1/4, you got to understand that's excuse me, that's 2 generations. That's grandmama, because each parent is 2.
Well, let's go back. I'm about to break it down for you. It starts with John Hemmings. Okay, he's an English captain. He Are you ready for this, bro? It's very nasty. Are you ready for this?
Man, I'm on.
I don't think you're ready. I don't.
Yes, come on, bro. Bring it, bro. You got to bring the truth, man. Unadulterated. Stop. Come on, man. Don't stop with it.
Okay, Sarah Hemmings is her name. This is the 1/4. You want to know what her 2 generations was, right?
Let's go.
Her mother was Betty Hemmings. She was the daughter of an enslaved woman and an English captain. Her mama was half white, John Hemmings, right? So how do we get back from there? Well, it gets worse, bro. Sally's father, the owner of Betty, John Wells, you ready for this? He's the father of Jefferson's wife, Martha. Wow. It's his wife's.
So they're cousins.
No, they're they're sisters. I knew you wasn't ready for it. It's too nasty. Your brain won't accept it. It's too nasty for you. Therefore, Sally was half sister to Jefferson's wife and was approximately 3/4 English descent. You wasn't ready for that. Your brain still can't eat it. I can tell how quiet you is.
Say it.
This is Jefferson's wife, sister, bro. It's her
Jefferson's
sister, bro.
wife, sister.
Yeah, it's that nasty. Her sister is 1/4 black because her mama was the house slave, half white house slave.
Right.
Made by her grandpa.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you, they do this generation by generation. Her grandpa was a slave owner who had a half white slave. Okay?
Right.
Around the house. He had a baby by her.
Got you. No problem. I'm understanding that.
The baby's 1/4 white.
Right.
That's Jefferson's wife's sister. That's her sister.
That's her sister.
Her daddy owns her. Her daddy said, "Hey, boy, good looking on marrying my daughter. You want my other daughter, the slave?" And Jefferson said, "Yeah, hell yeah." So now he in the other room taking down her sister, the slave.
Right.
I told you they did to their own kids, and now he had kids with her. His kids with her are cousins to the kids with the regular Martha white wife.
Right. Because they come from the guy that sold them.
I know your brain like, hold on. They all related. There's no selling here. I ain't mentioned the word sell yet. Who sold anybody?
Okay.
I
So
told you,
this guy is
your brain can't
this
say
guy.
it. They're all related. They're doing this to their kids.
Right. Right. That's what I'm trying to put together right now in my head. This other guy, Webb or Wales, is giving daughters away to Jefferson.
John Wells.
Yes.
Has a daughter that's enslaved named Betty Hemmings. Okay.
Yep.
She is half white.
Right.
Okay. Now, this is crazy. John Wells is Martha, is Jefferson wife's daddy.
Gotcha.
This girl that he owns, the slave he got, right?
Right.
Is his daughter's stepmama, basically. He got a daughter with her too. That's a slave. That's his daughter.
Wells does. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's Martha's daddy. And they got a daughter named Betty, a slave. Well, he got a daughter with her. Let me say it like that.
Right.
And that's Sally. That's Martha's sister. Okay.
Right.
This is Jefferson's wife's sister.
Right.
Yeah.
They're so Jefferson married two sisters.
Why they gotta be married? Why your brain can't accept the nastiness going on here? He ain't married to her. That's his slave.
Okay. Jefferson's slave and Jefferson's wife are sisters.
Yes.
Okay, I was just following along the story. Yeah.
One is white, and
one is white.
Quarter white. One is a quarter black.
Quarter black. Gotcha.
That's her slave sister.
Mm-hmm.
That they take turns on and toss around the barnyard and have fun with. Probably a sex slave. Just born into the family. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm understanding. I'm following all the way through.
This is why Salam Miller said, "Get me out this country." Y'all lied to me. Y'all told me I was coming over here to work. Y'all got me over here enslaved, sexing in the plantation with the other white people doing crazy stuff. Y'all got me whipping on people. Y'all, what's going on over here? Y'all whipping.
Yeah, this is the debauchery, man.
Mm-hmm.
Straight lifestyle of straight debauchery. That's why they wanted to come over here with the bull.
Exactly. Look at the Blue Bible.
Excuse me.
Page 101 of the Blue Bible. Let's get some music, man, so I can break this down to y'all. Now that we broke down Thomas Jefferson. Another popular
Thomas Jefferson.
All people labeled black in the U.S. are descendants of African slaves. That's a lie. In actuality, 66.6% of the Caucasians imported by the Freemasons to create the United States were slaves from Africa. In Europe, they had no land, property, or birthright. When they arrived in America, they were taught to speak English, practice Christianity, and identify as white. They eventually settled in the Appalachian Mountains, where they became hillbillies. They adopted the flag and ways of the original people, at which point they earned the name redneck, and they inherited our Confederate flag. They are descendants of a slave people. To support my story of white slavery, I reference his stories: Robert C. Davis, Christian Slaves, Muslim Masters, White Slavery in the Mediterranean, Barbary Coast in Italy, 1500 to 1800, and Richard Hayes Phillips, White Slave Children in Colonial America, supplement to the trilogy. At the same time, 85% of the people labeled Negro by the United States had land, property, and birthrights when the English arrived. Only 10% of our ancestors were African slaves. As a whole, we are collectively Creole. All of this has been lost to the racist practice of eugenics. The first people labeled white married into the nations of North America and enslaved their own children. The plantations they built were sex farms, breeding grounds, where they used eugenics to create slaves. This was their way of civilizing people. All nations that refused to be civilized were labeled Negro. The lands of the so-called Negroes were given away after the Civil War to create the New World Order.
Man.
Come on, man. Daniel Freeman was the first member of the white nation to claim 160 acres of our land by way of the Homestead Act of 1862. This was after Abraham Lincoln attempted to deport our people out of America. Our names were given away after the Dow Road Act in 1892. The U.S. hired the Dow's Commission to create nations on paper for it to pay instead of paying reparations to its enemies. The Dow's Commission charged $5 for any Caucasian family to purchase membership in a so-called Indian tribe and receive birthrights. That's how it happened, player.
So we're breaking that down. That's a heavy bill to break down. The first part, it broke down into the freakazoid. If you don't accept the freakazoid mentality, you're not considered
you're not civilized. You part of the Negro.
Civilized.
The 5 civilized.
We got to be able to hump on each other.
But no, now you getting it, God? The 5 civilized tribes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
what was they doing?
If you don't accept our,
why so many black people claim to be Cherokee? They not lying. What was they doing in them Cherokee tribes? Those confederations. They not tribes. What was they doing in them tribes? In them confederations? I mean, amongst them tribes. They was enslaving, raping, doing all this type of stuff. Not everybody, but you know what I'm saying? This the tribes that they was joining and introducing this to.
Right. They was recreating tribes under this debauchery because they wanted to be part of the nation. They wanted the land. They wanted to be accepted. And anybody who didn't accept their ways was considered a Negro, was considered an outcast, not civilized. It sounds like the same thing they do now today. If you don't accept their ways, they call you uncivilized. They go to Africa today saying, accept the LGBTQ or you're not civilized.
Facts.
They did the same thing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, please, go ahead. They did the same thing to what? Hit their ass.
They did the same thing to the nations, the original nations here. If you don't accept our ways, slavery, incest, all this debauchery of type of bad eating and food, then we're going to consider you guys uncivilized, the wild people. And we're going to write that story after the war. Go ahead.
Page 113, like you said, we're going to write that story after the war. So it's up to us to rewrite the story. We in the mental part of the war now. And it says, the so-called, page 113 of the Blue Bible, the so-called Negro population was taught this fear on breeding farms east of the Mississippi River. This is important, y'all. If you ever wondered, how did this happen? The book is only 120 pages. This is page 113. It's towards the ending. Of course, we can't sum it all up in a couple paragraphs, but on this one page alone, 113, you get a big look into basically what went down. The so-called Negro population was taught this fear on breeding farms east of the Mississippi River. These farms were controlled by Freemasons who used pedophilia and zoophilia to splice the genes of the gods. Their goal is to corrupt the original man's genetic coding and create a beast-like nature. The nations ruled by Caucasians practiced bestiality and zoophilia. Within their interactions and environments, they spread the DNA of the beasts they eat, handle, love, and cohabitate with amongst us. That in itself is splicing. Their goal is to use the media to pressure our children to splice their own genes with all of their isms. In 1740, the government passed the Negro Act, which gave its black population the titles Negro, Colored, and African. This was a response to the Stono Rebellion of 1739. Those of us who resisted and rejected their titles migrated west. In the West, we were initiated back into the bloodlines of the originals. an example of this phenomenon is the Blackfoot Confederacy. Facts. So like I said, if you already put an order in for the new book, The Black Indian Wars, you're in luck because they here now.
Peace to the divine family is finally here. The Black Indian Wars. Tap in for your copy. And I got more of the blue Bibles just in. Oh man, this is so great. Classic material. Tap in ASAP. The Black Indian Wars.
And if you just want to,
I gotta get mine, man.
Oh yeah. You know, you've been tapped in. And if you just want to tap in for the build, add on 213-667-1094. You know what I'm saying? This was a good one today, and I'm so glad you popped up when you popped up because I do feel like I had to. You know what I mean? You know, you nigga be just bam. You got to slow down. really push that information together. I think it was a lot of little, shit I was zooming through. So I'm glad you came.
Man,
you got to break it down.
You be building, man. You be building.
Nah, but I'm gonna keep it real with you though, bro. That part, like, to say it is one thing, right? It's certain things that help you see it. So the way we explain Thomas Jefferson, I think, you get what I'm saying? Like, I think I need to add that to the presentation. That will show. You get what I'm saying?
The tree. You got to show the family tree.
The family tree. That will show. So I'm glad we did that because these are works in development. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I just started this year or two ago. So I'm really glad we did it like that. That's why I'm always inviting people to come up and let's break it all the way down. The Black Illuminati. You feel what I'm saying? That was perfect. Like I said, y'all, they're going to number right there. Tap in with us directly. And I'm still doing the unreleased music package. And if you got anything to say to them, man, now's the time, Blair.
Period. I appreciate everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Juma Mubarak. Remember, we're going to continue to build our nation with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Yes, sir.
Love, truth, peace, and justice to everybody in the family.
Islam.
Escaping out the matrix, roll a whole eighth and face it. Cola in the refrigerator, coca up in the basement. Chasing paper out of state and fucking bitches that's Haitian. This pussy different, I taste it. Oh my God, this is amazing. Paying for fornication, murder, incarceration. The courts is filled with racist judges trying murder cases. The look up on their faces outrageous. They celebrating, stuffing little niggas in cages, waiting for visitation. Never realizing all the time they wasted paper chasing in the 80s when the paper ain't even paper no more. I'm crypto. Call me Big RZA, Bobby Digital, Wu-Tang. When I'm in New York, this shit serious. Niggas, don't shit change for the time, nigga. Better stay focused on your grind, nigga. Better keep that money on your mind, nigga. Cause don't shit change for the time, nigga. Baptized in holy water, son of a pharaoh's daughter. Came from the sands of Egypt to Harlem to Nicaragua to the blocks of South Central where they killed Nipsey the Prophet. Alhamdulillah, should change my name to Muhammad, cause I really be hustling, freed all my niggas from struggling. Remember Janky was banging, he made $1 million from nothing. Still got love for my cousins, still we don't fuck with each other. Nobody understand me, my own father and mother. Slept in the cell cold naked in the snow with no covers. Slept in some beds with some hoes I ain't know was undercovers. When I look in your face, I can still see you, my brother. But the sad part is we'll never fuck with each other. I'm G-body, arm, leg, on supreme. The real ones, Black Illuminati, free supreme. Cause don't shit change for the time, nigga. You better stay focused on your grind, nigga. You better keep that money on your mind, nigga. Cause don't shit change for the time, nigga. Don't shit change for the time, nigga. Don't shit change for the time, nigga.
Yes, that's from the unreleased music package. It's a lot of unreleased music in that unreleased music package. I still got a few of these CDs left. Only a few though. They've been going. So like I said, I know a lot of y'all don't listen to CDs, but y'all listen to music. So when you tap in for the unreleased music package, you get private YouTube links. You play it in your house, your car, wherever, and you get MP3 files sent directly to you. You can play it in your house, your car, your phone, wherever. And I send a personal CD. It's like a souvenir, you know what I mean? Something you can have for yourself, personal. And you play it in PlayStations, different machines still play the CDs. Some you can personally have. So, but yeah, it's all type of music in there, bro. Check this one out.
Fire. Hey, Khalid, slap that boot. When the killer fed up, all of that drama, fuck a nigga head up. I ain't lying, I ain't got time for you. Stressing and worrying and lying, and you know. When the killer fed up, all of that drama, fuck a nigga head up. I ain't lying, I ain't got time for you. It feel like my spirit just ain't in line with you. I've been meditating, focusing and isolating. I've been trying to find the words to tell you what I'm saying. I've been talking to my God lately, I've been praying. So listen to me, baby. The way I'm feeling, you digging, you girl, spiritual. Let me get at you lyrical, break you down like a chemical. Way you up on my digital, talking shit, girl, I'm hearing you. Baby, I see the fear in you. Open up and I'm killing you. I'm bound with your code in these streets. Let me sentence you. If it's really love, I'ma send with you. Go to church, repent with you. On God, I turned up the temperature. Put you on cloud 9, right there where the angels at. And would you give it all back? Or would you fuck it up and make me take it all back? I give a fuck about a jewelry or a car or some racks. Give a fuck about my life, I can never get it back. When a nigga fed up, when the killer fed up, all of that drama, fuck a nigga head up. I ain't lying, I ain't got time for you. Stressing and worrying and lying, and you know. When the killer fed up, all of that drama, fuck a nigga head up. I ain't lying, I ain't got time for you. It feel like my spirit just ain't in line with you. Yeah. It's a thin line between love and hate, and love spills backwards. It's evil. I see through people that say that they love you but hurt you, even though they ain't mean to. Whoa, I cling to people that's evil, probably cause I'm evil myself. I need help. I ain't get love from my mother. I need help. I don't feel love from my brother. I need help. I ain't feel love from my father. Baby, I used to call you mama. Why all the drama? Period, comma, comma. Oh, no, bitch, stop. 808 course, fire.